It's really good to hear that you're still up there in Merritt, running the Merritt newspaper up there. I know that obviously a lot of other newspapers are struggling right now, and these are newspapers in big cities. I'm curious to know how Merritt is doing with one reporter and like a staff of 5 people running it. How are you faring in this new newspaper in trouble economy?
Well, we're still ticking along okay. We're publishing a slightly smaller paper than we did before. We're down about to 32 pages, whereas before the average was about 36 pages. But most of our advertisers have stayed with us, and the economy in Merritt itself seems to be fairly stable, as far as I can tell. And the paper isn't really suffering a whole lot. It's down a little bit, but we're still pumping along pretty good.
There is obviously a lot of concern, and I guess in the media industry, with what the future of newspapers are. I mean, we know that even the Seattle Post Intelligencer, which serves Seattle, is no longer really functioning. It's going to like an online-only service. Same with the Rocky Mountain News and the Chicago Tribune. Obviously, a lot of these American papers are struggling to keep afloat. And we know the Canadian scene isn't too much better. National Post is losing money, and some are saying that in a year or two there may not be another National Post. As an editor of a newspaper and someone who is entrenched in the media industry, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we're talking about two different animals when you compare the National Post to the Merritt News. We're a small community paper and a weekly, and I think that there's not much chance that we're going to disappear over the next year or two because the community really depends on having a solid, a physical newspaper that they can read, and that's delivered with flyers that tell them about the sales at the local stores and so forth. And they look to us for local information, and I think the demand for that kind of service will continue unabated. That said, if the economy worsens further, anything can happen. But I'm not really concerned about the fate of the Merritt News. I think it's a strong paper, and I think the need for it is going to continue through the recession, where the large national papers have much larger expenses,
right,
much greater expenses, and they can be really hurt badly by a loss of national advertising. I think we have a lot going for us with our local advertisers, but I'm an editor. I'm not really an advertising salesman or a publisher, so that's a little bit outside my field.
Right.
My sense is, though, that we're going to survive, and we're not going to be hurt too badly by the recession.
Well, I hear a lot of people like on the radio or even like at a local coffee shop saying that newspapers are doomed, and this is in a few years there'll be no more newspapers. And they've been saying that for a long time, but they said the same things about VHS machines and how they were no longer going to be around and no one was going to make videotapes and that sort of thing. I mean, we hear a lot of these kind of harbingers of doom, I guess, prophecies from people who feel that with the internet here, newspapers are just simply going to cease to exist, and it's pointless to keep putting money and investing in newspapers. I wrote an editorial recently where I kind of suggested that was ridiculous because people have been predicting the end of everything for as long as anything has ever been around. And industry has been around for over 100 years. I don't know if we're actually in that much danger. I think there's a bit of an overreaction here. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you. And I think that people that like to catch up on news quickly through the internet, but I think that to read a longer story, to get more in-depth information, I think people like to have a paper product that they can hold in their hands.
Yeah.
The same thing has been said about pocketbooks, and even hardcover books with the new electronic readers that are sold by I think Microsoft as well as Amazon, I believe, has a new electronic reader that people have predicted the end of the paper book, and I just don't think that's going to happen. People like paper; they like to hold it, they like the way it feels, and I think with newspapers, people are going going to continue to appreciate having a paper that they can hold in their hands and read when they want to without having to worry about dropping it in the bathtub or, you can't fold up a computer and stick it in your back pocket and carry it on the bus with you. Well, there are some that you can carry on the bus with you, but
not quite
it's easier to read a newspaper on the bus than a computer.
Yes, it is. So it sounds to me, Steve, like you're not particularly worried about losing your job up there.
Well, I'm not, no. It could happen, but I don't feel that it will. I make a prediction that a year from now my job will still be here, and that a lot of other jobs in this area will still be here too.
Right.
Yeah.
You were saying earlier that you said the economy of Merritt was stable, but maybe struggling a little bit. Is this something that you're hearing a lot from the residents? I mean, are there concerns from other residents about their jobs and even the newspaper? Are you hearing anything from them?
Occasionally I'm hearing from people that are concerned, but most people, I think, are more concerned with day-to-day living and the problems of, just sort of getting by every day than they are about the economy and its effect on their jobs. I think people are aware that there's a problem, there's an international problem, you can't not be aware of it. But I think, by and large, people are sort of carrying on as always. They're doing their best to survive, and the economic news is just one more thing out there. But it's not the major overriding factor in their lives. I think a lot of people have confidence that they're going to survive.
Now,
that's my feeling.
Well, that's good, because I know a lot of people are concerned, certainly down here in the more in the big city of Vancouver and the suburbs there, the more urban area. People are a little nervous about things, and people are really starting to feel the pinch a bit down here. But there isn't this sense of doom and Armageddon that appears to be portrayed in the media. Do you think the media has done a particularly good job, the mainstream media, of covering this recession and covering these issues of ordinary Canadians?
No, not really. I think they've spent too much time listening to the pollsters and covering, forecasts and predictions by the presidents of, the managers of banks and the politicians, but they haven't really spent a lot of time sort of going down to the grassroots and talking to, the regular folks, ordinary people about their concerns. I think, but I'm no expert. I don't actually read a lot of the large daily papers. I don't read the Sun. Don't read the Post. Occasionally I read the Globe, but I'm focused on a very narrow view, that of Merritt.
So what's happening in Merritt right now? Like what is making news in Merritt this week?
The upcoming provincial election, of course, is making news. And we've just had some money handed to the city by the feds for some downtown construction projects and beautification projects. So I think that Merritt, a year from now, Merritt is going to be a much nicer looking city than it is now, because we're having a new downtown square built at a cost of about $1 million. And we're getting news from time to time about Mountain Fest, which is our main summer festival.
That's coming up pretty soon.
The Country Music Festival, and the Country Music Hall of Fame, I guess it's still called that, is being relocated to Merritt. So that's happening downtown as well.
And you still have only the one. You still only have the one reporter up there covering that for 7,000 people.
Well, we have me and we have my reporter, yeah, so it's a newsroom of 2 people.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
we can do an adequate job. Sometimes we do a good job, sometimes we fall short, but we try our best.
Is your reporter worried about losing his job?
I don't think so. Maybe not as much as he should be, given the fact that he's occasionally a bit lazy. I joke with you, Fred. But no, I don't believe he is.
No, that's good to hear.
I don't think any of us here are. We're all aware that it could happen. We don't have our heads in the sand. If some of our major advertisers